Vanakkam, this is Heart to Heart with Ungal RP. While it may be true or not, we've grown to believe that geniuses lack social skills or being unable to connect at an emotional level. Various books and movies have portrayed extremely intelligent people as eccentrics. We've given a lot of importance to IQ. Right from our school days, we've taken up so many IQ tests that's been existing for many decades. We've given extreme importance to intelligence quotient or IQ. But over the last couple of decades, emotional quotient, also called as EQ, has come a lot more into focus. Let's explore more on the topic 5 is greater than 9. EQ and IQ are terms that are widely used in explaining people and their behavior. Intelligence quotient or IQ is a measure of a person's intelligence relative to others. Emotional quotient, also called as EQ, is the ability to recognize and manage one's emotions and that of others. In Indian mythology, we have two great warriors from two different epics. I'm going to speak about Arjuna and Ravana. Both of them are great warriors and have a plethora of battle skills, or in other words, I will call it as their IQ. But how did they do when it came to their emotional quotient? Let's take the case of Ravana. Such an able administrator, a pious devotee of Shiva, and a great musician. If he had used his emotional intelligence, he wouldn't have resorted to kidnapping Sita to avenge for what was done to his sister. A weak moment of not using his emotional intelligence led to his downfall. Now let's take the case of Arjuna, a brilliant warrior beyond doubt. But before the battlefield, before the battle began, he lost his emotional quotient, dropped his bow, and refused to fight. He had self-doubt and couldn't convince himself to fight. But for the presence of Krishna and Krishna showing him the right path, the battle could have gone either ways. Now, for those of you who were born before 1990, during your growing years, you would have heard a lot about this word IQ and also the amount of significance that was placed on it. You would have hardly heard the word emotional quotient. Forget about somebody teaching about what it is to you. We all would have had a model science class where we would have been taught how to behave in a situation, and that was prescriptive. But where we ever thought what was emotion, how are we supposed to recognize our emotions, and how are we supposed to look at others' emotions? Now let me ask a couple of questions and you could probably answer them in your mind. At home, right, would a child be close to an intelligent parent or an emotionally connected parent? Similarly, at a workplace, would a manager who's a taskmaster be able to get a better employee satisfaction score, or a manager who's able to empathize with his team and who's able to connect emotionally with his team get a better employee satisfaction score? Research indicates that people are ready to pay more for an inferior product if it was being sold by someone whom they trust. Would you agree? Now let's take the example of insurance agents, right? Sometimes, right, the insurance agents who are well aware of the policies, the features and the rates still sell less policies in comparison to those agents who are able to empathize with their customers and who's emotionally connected with their customers. Am I saying IQ is not required? Definitely not. Various advancements in medical, science, technology and various other fields is a result of human IQ. The different problems that we usually find very difficult to tackle are generally at emotional or relational level. Let's take the case of a kid who is joining a new school, and on his or her first day, the child does not fear about the subjects or the test. The child's biggest fear is about making new friends and how he or she is going to emotionally connect with the new friends. The previous year at school would have prepared the child's IQ for the upcoming year. But it is the parents, teachers, counselors who need to work on building the child's EQ, which is equally critical, if not more, in the present world. Have we realized the importance of EQ a little late? What could we do about it? We need to understand that just like how we can improve our IQ, we can improve our EQ also with constant and conscious effort. Now, with such constant effort, we will be in a position to handle any situation successfully, whether it is a professional or social setting. We would have spent so many years in school improving our IQ. Similarly, we have to spend every day to build our EQ as well. A great IQ could take us only so far, but a combination of good IQ and a good EQ working together would open up limitless opportunities and would take us to places. I'm sure all of you would be wondering, what is there in this topic? 5 is greater than 9. 5 is representing the fifth alphabet, that is E for emotional quotient, and I, the ninth alphabet, representing intelligence quotient. So 5 is greater than 9. While closing, I would like to thank each one of you as we complete 25 weeks of Heart to Heart today. While the topics appeal to your intelligence, I am sure your continued support is a result of the topics and contents tugging at your emotional quotient. While you're reflecting on this, I would like to thank you once again. This is Heart to Heart with Ungal RP.